Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, today we're diving into something that, let's be honest, often feels like a total black box for business owners: securing payment processing for the nutraceutical and supplement space. If you're building a brand here, you already know the painful truth. Getting a bank to simply let you process credit cards can literally be harder than formulating your actual product. So we're going to unpack exactly why that is, and more importantly, how to basically guarantee your approval. To understand the why behind all this friction, we really have to look at the sheer scale of the opportunity: $1 trillion. That is the staggering valuation this industry is projected to cross by 2034. I mean, it's easily one of the most successful sectors globally right now. You've got massive consumer demand, incredible revenue potential, and just endless room for innovation. But that brings us to the giant elephant in the room. With all that cash on the table, why is it so incredibly hard to get a merchant account? It's beyond frustrating, right? You've got a killer product, eager customers ready to buy, but traditional banks just throw up these massive roadblocks, stamp high risk in big red letters on your application, and freeze you out entirely. This crazy contrast between a booming market and harsh application realities, that's exactly what we're solving today. So here's our roadmap for This Explainer. 1. The trillion-dollar market. 2. The high-risk label explained. 3. Avoiding merchant account denials. 4. What to fix before applying. And 5. The Adaptiv payment solution. Section 1. A trillion-dollar market. Explosive growth. So this explosive growth is actually exactly what creates friction with the financial institutions. We're looking at a market size of over $618 billion in 2025, surging toward that $1 trillion mark by 2034. Now, this kind of meteoric rise naturally attracts super ambitious startups, which is great. But at the exact same time, it puts financial underwriters on extremely high alert. Rapid, explosive growth in anything health-related is always going to draw intense scrutiny from the people holding the purse strings. Moving to Section 2, the high-risk label, understanding the fear. So why does such a wildly lucrative industry get treated with so much caution by banks and processors? Well, it's because the nutraceutical market essentially lives in a highly scrutinized gray area. It sits smack in the middle between your standard everyday food products on one side and heavily regulated pharmaceuticals on the other. Supplements just aren't regulated the same way prescription drugs are. And because of that, there's this built-in uncertainty for underwriters regarding actual product efficacy or, potential side effects. That gray area, it makes them extremely nervous. When we break that down a bit more, providers really see three main hurdles when evaluating your business. First up, scrutiny of claims and compliance. If your product claims are even slightly misleading, that immediately flags regulatory risks. Second, and this is a huge one, a high rate of chargebacks. Customers often buy supplements hoping for, instant miracles. And when that doesn't happen overnight, they dispute the charge. To a processor, that spells major financial risk. And third, strict data security expectations. Processing payments means sticking to really complex PCI DSS compliance. In such a fast-moving market, providers constantly worry that startups might cut corners on things like data encryption and secure checkouts. Section 3. Avoiding merchant account denials, flipping the script. Okay, now that we know what makes these underwriters sweat, let's talk solutions. One of the most common reasons you'll see for an account denial is claims risk. Look, if an underwriter lands on your website and sees wildly exaggerated results or specific medical promises, like claiming your supplement cures a specific illness, your application is dead on arrival. The fix here is compliant marketing. You've got to revise your labeling to emphasize general wellness support instead. Use crystal clear disclaimers. Make sure your website, your social ads, your physical packaging, the whole shebang is completely aligned. Dialing in that compliant wording significantly lowers how risky they perceive you to be. Another major denial trigger is something underwriters call excessive projected risk. This usually happens when your application piles on multiple red flags all at once. Maybe you have obvious regulatory gaps in your labeling, or your ingredient sourcing is a complete mystery, or you just lack basic safety info regarding dosing. So how do you beat this? Transparency. Look, we all know clinical trials aren't mandatory for dietary supplements, but showing underwriters that you have a highly responsible, thoroughly documented approach to your formulations, that makes your business look infinitely more reliable to them. But what if you've already had a merchant account in the past and, you lost it? A history of high chargebacks or past account terminations is obviously a massive red flag. The good news is you can actually overcome a poor processing history. The absolute key here is demonstrating tangible, real-world operational improvements. You need to show the underwriters that you're now using active fraud prevention tools. Prove that you've built out a responsive customer support team to proactively handle refunds before they mutate into chargebacks. And honestly, most importantly, you need to clearly explain the root cause of your past disputes and exactly how you fix the problem. So to kind of sum up the underwriter's mindset here, they are meticulously scrutinizing three main things. First, your business model. Are you doing one-time sales, or are you heavily relying on subscriptions? Subscriptions aren't inherently bad, but confusing subscription terms definitely are. Second, your website content. Is your pricing totally transparent? Are your return policies easy to find? And third, your overall compliance posture. Do you take regulatory adherence seriously, or does it look like you're trying to skirt the rules? Having consistent messaging and strict compliance are absolutely non-negotiable if you want that approval. Section 4. Fix this before applying. A concrete checklist. If you want to just sail right through the application process, you really need to lock down these 3 steps before you even hit submit. Step 1. Clarify your continuity terms and cancellations. If you run a subscription model, your billing cycles, renewal terms, and cancellation instructions must be crystal clear before the customer even clicks checkout. Step 2. Aggressively reduce your risk of fraud and chargeback disputes. Set up a responsive customer service workflow and get fraud monitoring tools in place right now. And Step 3. Ensure your payment security is fully PCI compliant. You have to encrypt your payment data and heavily restrict access to any sensitive info. Weak security? That's just an immediate denial, no questions asked. Section 5. The Adaptiv Payment Solution. Here's the frustrating reality. Even if you do absolutely everything right, traditional banks might still just say no simply because of the industry you're in. And that's exactly where specialized partners come into play. As Paul Smith, the director of sales at Adaptiv Payments, puts it, Adaptiv empowers nutraceutical brands to process payments safely and sustainably. Unlike standard processors who will literally run for the hills at the first sign of a high-risk label, Adaptiv specializes entirely in this exact space. They aren't in the business of placing roadblocks. They're offering tailored solutions for the exact businesses that traditional banks refuse to touch. Partnering with an actual expert in this space makes all the difference. With Adaptiv, they aren't just processing a transaction. They act as a real partner. They maintain strong connections with multiple sponsor banks, which translates to an incredibly low risk of your account suddenly being shut down out of nowhere. Plus, they provide advanced fraud tools built right in for chargeback mitigation. They offer scalable payment systems that actually grow alongside your brand, and they give you dedicated account management. So, you actually have real, responsive human support when you need it most. They just get the nuances of the nutraceutical market inside and out. So, I'm going to leave you with this final thought. Are you ready to actually process payments safely? The nutraceutical industry is absolutely packed with opportunity. But let's be real, you cannot scale your brand if you can't reliably accept money. By dialing in your website's compliance, clarifying your billing terms, and partnering with a truly specialized provider like Adaptiv Payments, you can absolutely turn that high-risk label into a high-growth reality. Don't let processing roadblocks stall your momentum. Take a hard look at your compliance today, and definitely consider reaching out to a dedicated high-risk processor to secure your revenue stream. Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer, and keep building.